Hello everyone, LEGO Fan 14 here, and today it's time for yet another movie review. This time we'll be looking at Warner Animation Group's latest DC League of Super Pets. Now, this is an interesting case when it comes to a DC Comics movie, because with the whole disaster, the whole dumpster fire that's right now Warner Bros. Discovery, they need almost anything in order to save themselves. With stuff like canceling Batgirl, School Holiday Haunt, whole HBO Max content purge, it's basically a disaster. So they basically only need, right now, theatrically successful movies. And we are definitely seeing something out of the Super Pets. But now it's finally time to talk about it as a movie. How good is it? Well, first off, this will be a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go check out that movie, then come back. If you have seen it, well, here's what I think. The movie was actually a lot of fun. When it comes to DC Comics and when it comes to the world of animation, DC Comics has always had one step ahead, even over Marvel. But right now, it's so crazy to see how Marvel has become the dominant species when it comes to superhero movies, and with DC Comics struggling to stay relevant. It's actually kind of sad seeing as how the comic book company that started this whole superhero thing is the one that's right now struggling to succeed in the world of superhero movies, and now we get an animated Super Pets movie starring Crypto the Superdog. Now, first thing you gotta know about me when it comes to this, I'm already familiar with Crypto the Superdog and the Super Pets. Not because of any comics, but because of the 2005 Crypto Superdog cartoon. Yeah, I used to watch that one a lot. Actually, here's my Ace the Bad Hound plush. Now, I've had this guy for such a long time. You may notice he doesn't really look like the one from the movie, but this is because it's the one from Crypto, the animated series, the one from 2005 I was talking about. Yeah, he's not in the greatest shape, but hey, at least something is something. I've had this guy for such a long time, and he's one of my favorites. So, if you've noticed, I loved that cartoon. I remember saw a lot back in the day, and then I just kind of forgot about it when it was pulled off the air. But it's always something I knew of. I just haven't rewatched. I'm definitely planning on rewatching it. But now that we have a new movie, I'm just surprised how fun it was. It's not that I expected to suck or anything like that. No, it was more so that I didn't really know what to expect, especially from Warner Animation Group. They haven't really had the best track record. It's not as messy as a Sony, but at the same time, it's not real sturdy as Pixar. We have some really great movies, like the Lego movies, of course. The Lego Movie 2, Lego Batman, Lego Ninjago, but after that, they kind of slipped up with movies like Storks, Smallfoot, and even recently Scoob. And last year's movie was actually the first movie I've seen in theaters ever since the whole lockdown thing happened because of COVID. Was Space Jam: A New Legacy. In my unpopular opinion, I actually love that movie, Space Jam: A New Legacy. I couldn't get enough of it. Can't get enough of its merch, of its clips. It's basically my favorite movie of 2021. Again, super unpopular opinion. And what about the Super Pets? Well, I really liked them. Not as much as with Space Jam: New Legacy, but that will be something I talk about on a different video. But right now, with the Super Pets, I actually have blast with this movie. The casting was just nuts with, like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Crypto Superdog, Kevin Hart as Ace the Bad Hound, and with the rest of the cast, like John Krasinski as Superman and Keanu Reeves as Batman. And of course, we can't forget about the new characters, like Pibby the pig. Then there's the turtle and Chip the squirrel. Now, I'm not sure how if these characters have actually been in comic books. Like, I do know there has been a Green Lantern squirrel that Flash had turtle, but I was never really sure about this. Like, when I first heard they were doing Super Pets movie, I was excited, especially when they said that Crypto Superdog was the protagonist. But then when we got the trailers, my hype kind of died down a bit. Like, it's not that I was disappointed. It's not that I thought, oh, this movie's bad now. No, I was still interested in this movie. But it was more so that now I knew it was a Pets movie and not just a Crypto Superdog movie. I felt a bit underwhelmed. But watching it, I'll be honest here and say it's pleasantly surprising what kind of humor it uses. It's at first you expect being a movie about talking animals, most of the humor would rely on that, on animals. But something else I found surprising and at the same time fun was the fact that it also makes fun of DC Comics and even Marvel at some points. And it was just really surprising and a pleasant surprise to see how this movie's humor is very similar to the Lego Batman movie, one of my favorite movies, where it's a mix of physical humor, of course, slapstick, using the events of the world it's in the case of Batman, the Lego Batman movie being a world of Lego, and in the case of Super Pets being a movie about, well, pets. But here, I was actually really pleasantly surprised with the humor this movie used. Again, it doesn't use childish humor. It makes clever jokes. It's not gonna be a dying of laughter case like what happened with Minions at Rise of Gru, but it definitely will get you some chuckles here and there. And what about the characters? Well, another thing I was worried about was that having these super pets would simply make it a story about animals, and the character would simply be a one-off gag. And thankfully, that did not happen. I still liked all of the characters. I still found them entertaining, and something frustrating and weird with the fact that Ace the Bad Hound isn't technically considered the Bad Hound. Like, in a lot of stories, Ace is Batman's dog. Like, in some other stories, he's a retired police dog, but he's basically trained by Batman. So he's basically Batman counterpart dog. So, sort of like how Crypto is the Superman counterpart. But here they basically did something totally different by changing his origin story, saying that he was actually a pet of a different family that ended up getting him away, and how he doesn't become Batman long until the end of the movie, and at the same time give him powers. Like, they give him vulnerability, and speaking of that, the whole superpowers thing, and the whole superhero aspect of the Super Pets. I was actually surprised of how they handled the Justice League. I did not watch the Justice League movie in 2017, and I don't have HBO Max, so I haven't seen the Snyder Cut. But the point is, this was actually my first Justice League movie in theaters, and I liked it. I like how, even if it's the Super Pet story, they still have the Justice League as recurring characters, and at the same time, they play an important role in the story. You know, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, The Flash, a female Green Lantern, and Aquaman, and Cyber. Wait, I just remember it's an Aquaman voiced by Jamie Clement, so basically Tamatoa from Moana. But again, when it comes to the characters, they end up being likable, and at the same time, the voice cast did an excellent job with their characters, definitely made them likable. And what about the animation? Well, it's a really interesting case. Because we're an animation group, they actually worked this time with Animal Logic, the people behind movies like Happy Feet. And I like how the movie is stylized in its own way, giving each one animation group a different feel. Like, of course, with the Lego movies, it was a hyper-realistic style, but to look like Lego, like it was actually Lego. And with other movies, they kind of went for this cartoony style of slapstick humor and such. And it looks nice, but to me, what I liked about the Super Pets is the fact that it's very artistic in its style, like the 3D animation here and the action sequences. It's definitely a colorful, stunning world, and my favorite parts were the backgrounds of the city, of mostly Metropolis, but I really like the way that they got the backgrounds. And what about the villain? Well, this actually is something that I either didn't pay attention to the trailers or just caught me off guard in the theater. I expect the main villain to be Lex Luthor, like you expect a story about Superman to be the main villain now, but turns out the villain is a guinea pig called Lulu, who was basically experimented on by Lex Luthor, and she basically learns everything of villainy from Lex Luthor and looks up to him, and I really liked her as a villain. I like how this movie takes a more conventional route when it comes to how to make a villain, because Pixar has definitely gotten us used to either the villain who turns out to be good, or vice versa, the villain that seemed to be good but turns out to be evil, or just not give a villain at all. But here I like how they took a more conventional approach to the villain, sort of like how you'd expect a superhero story to be. I like the villain. And overall, I really like DC League of Super Pets. It's definitely a fun ride. It's not the greatest movie out there, and overall, I think it's a solid film. I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, but I really liked it. It's definitely a fun time. Do I recommend watching theaters? Well, yeah, but it's not really a movie you gotta run to the theater to watch right now. No, it's one that I recommend just getting a chance to watch at some point. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you think about the League of Super Pets. And next up, I gotta work on some other videos. There's been one I've been delaying for so long, and it's gonna go to infinity and beyond. Thanks for watching.